Paul Watson wrote the article last week, Feds hijack Silk Road case in bid to dismantle internet freedom. Government using charges against Rosh Ulbricht as Trojan horse to pass chilling laws that would make website owners criminally responsible for users' actions. And again, I've already experienced the feds trying to trick me into this. So this is serious, people. Thank you very much for coming on, ma'am, and we're sorry for what you and your family are going through.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity to talk about it. I really appreciate that. One of the things that Paul Joseph Watson wrote as well is that he said this is the biggest threat to the future of the internet since SOPA and PIPA, that it's really very serious and that precedent will be set here. Another attorney, Scott Greenfield, on his blog, Simple Justice, he said, this is the birth of law as applied to our digital future. Watch it as a spectator at your peril. So the lawyers are watching it. They know precedent will be set. And I'm trying to call attention to people. This is much bigger than a case of my son, one man, or one website. As you said, it is ushering in and could potentially usher in precedent that could affect everyone and the kind of internet we're going to have in the 21st century.
Talk about your son's case for those that may not know about it. It's been publicized internationally, but for those that don't know, give us some background. You've been talking to him, how the case is going, where he's being held, how he's holding up.
Yeah, he's being held at MDC Brooklyn, which is a transitional facility. It's the kind of place that people that come from federal prison go, when can I go back to prison? This place is horrible. And he's been there for 9 months. He has only now recently been allowed to access discovery, the evidence that the prosecutors have that was ordered in February. There was a 5-month delay while we're waiting and waiting to have this so he can access it. His trial is November 3rd, so it's quite the time constraint. And so he's now working very diligently on that. I, on the other hand, and my family are working at raising funds to pay his attorneys, who are doing a great job and a mountain of work, really, working with us financially to fight this thing. So his case is, it's interesting. There's some interesting aspects to it that we can talk about. One of the main things that Paul Joseph Watson addresses in his article, and what you touched on, is the principle of transferred intent, which makes one person responsible for the actions and even the intentions of another person. And so in this case, it would be the website host provides a platform, makes him a conspirator and responsible for what users do on a site. And you can just imagine what kind of precedent that could set and the impact it could have on the internet, making website hosts responsible for what users do on their site.
And I remember when this all broke, I'd seen Silk Road before when McAfee was talking about it a few years ago. And I went and looked. I mean, it wasn't all discussions about drug culture and things that people were doing or how many Red Bulls to drink or whatever. There was a lot of stuff going on there. But again, it would just set a precedent that I'm guilty when somebody goes on Infowars.com out of 1 million+ people a day and, says we ought to shoot the president. Well, I don't agree with that. I don't want to make Obama a martyr. I don't agree with offensive violence. I'm a libertarian. But I've had the feds here trying to imply I am. And it's really scary.
Yeah, from what I understand from my research, I never was on Silk Road, or, I'm not that familiar with it directly, is that it was designed to be an anonymous marketplace that had some restrictions, as you mentioned, but basically was consumer driven. So if they wanted to sell unpasteurized milk and not drugs, I mean, it wasn't promoted, as far as I can see, as a drug website, although that is what the prosecution is alleging. It was basically, seems to me, a free market experiment. I'm not saying it was all benign. I'm just
sure. I mean, that's why they're talking about, like, basically getting rid of Craigslist because sometimes people pick women up and kill them. Well, I mean, that could have been done in the old days with a phone book or at a bar. I mean, are you going to ban walking up and talking to a woman at the tennis courts because, a killer might do it? I mean, Ted Bundy picked women up with his Volkswagen in front of malls. Are we going to ban going to malls because a bad guy might pick women up there and kill them? I mean, it's just so ridiculous. That's all the internet is. It's the same as calling somebody on the telephone or going to a flea market. Are we going to ban flea markets because somebody might be selling pot at the flea market? We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? They've been available since 1986, yet the financial industry won't recognize the value of gold for your retirement. Gold has outperformed paper investments, yet no word about IRAs. If you would like to have gold for your retirement, call 800-686-2237. Don't get left behind by rising inflation and low returns. Call 800-686-2237. Secure your future and call 1-800-686-2237.
How can you save a ton of money and prepare for emergencies? By having your own in-home freeze dryer from Harvest Right. Now you can cut down on wasted food by freeze drying your leftovers. That's right, create your own long-term food storage by freeze drying your own fruits, meats, vegetables, even complete meals with a Harvest Right in-home freeze dryer. Imagine the savings and the peace of mind. See how the amazing Harvest Right freeze dryer works at harvestright.com.
Alex Jones here for Infowars.com. In the month of July, we have got giant specials on everything at MadeIn1776.com. The already discounted Made in 1776 t-shirts are only $17.76. We have the new belt buckles that in only 2 weeks of sale are very close to selling out. There's only 500 of each. We're talking about Made in America belt buckles in nickeled brass. This is more than a summer blowout special. This is a new declaration of independence. But to expand the InfoWar, we're offering the equivalent of more than 5 months free right now when you get a membership at prisonplanet.tv for a limited time, only $39.95 a year. That's more than 5 months free off the regular price. Not just this July 4th weekend, but the entire month of July at MadeIn1776.com. Molon Labe, you can take my gun from my cold, dead hands.
It seems that everywhere you turn to these days, people are talking about the health benefits of silver. But don't be fooled into believing all silver is the same. Only one silver solution has been clinically shown to be hundreds of times stronger than colloidal or ionic silver. That's supernatural silver. It can be used internally as a powerful immune system enhancer to fight off bacteria and viruses. Supernatural silver can be used topically to treat any type of wound or skin issue. It's even gentle enough to be used on the ears, eyes, and sinuses. And unlike harsh drugs and antibiotics, supernatural silver has no side effects. Available as a liquid or a gel that you can use every day to stay healthy and well. To experience outstanding customer service and to place your order, visit supernaturalsilver.com. Use the promo code SILVER2014 for 20% off your entire order. Give yourself and your loved ones a fighting chance with Supernatural Silver, only at supernaturalsilver.com. Supernaturalsilver.com.
Time and time again.
You need to come here and help us. We need assistance, please.
Those we should be able to depend on let us down.
Federal and state and local officials saying help is on the way. Well, the folks here in Belle Harbor say, show me.
Don't depend on the government to save you. Take action now so that you're prepared for the next disaster with MyPatriotSupply.com. Get the best prices on storable food, non-GMO seeds, water filtration devices, home canning equipment, survival and self-reliance books, and more at MyPatriotSupply.com. Call 866-229-0927.
We are hurting down here and we need help immediately.
Before it's time to survive, it's time to prepare. MyPatriotSupply.com. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Talking to Lynn Ulbricht, her son Ross created Silk Road, and he's facing, tell us exactly the latest on what he's facing, how long he's facing in prison, and I guess they're claiming he was facilitating this message board and marketplace where some people might have been discussing selling each other drugs. You know, we've seen the famous cases in Seattle that if I was your lawyer, his lawyer, I would be using as the example if it went to jury or to shake up the federal prosecution that gets about a 98% conviction rate because they'll rig stuff. The only way to beat them is generally, and I've talked to top lawyers on this, is to bring out all their past corruption and to start campaigns against the prosecutors themselves and their corruption, because they're usually so corrupt. If you start an investigation of them, they'll drop it. And I'm just telling you how people really win. It's because it's so rigged. I would bring up cops known and feds known for selling each other drugs in restaurant or bar bathrooms, not telling the court that they're using a confidential informant and then using this to take the bar. It's real famous in Seattle where over 100 bars were owned by cops who had set up the bar themselves to take it over. But I'm just throwing out legal ideas here. What exactly is he facing?
Well, one of the counts is a continuing criminal enterprise, which is the kingpin charge. I believe that has a mandatory minimum of 30 years. It may be 20. Well, I mean, it gets to be, kind of ridiculous because there's 4 counts against him.
Holder needs a kingpin. I mean, Holder's name should be Kingpin Holder. In fact, from now on, that's his name. Kingpin Holder. I'm serious. Go ahead. So Kingpin Holder, who lets all these big banks launder hundreds of billions in drug money every year, and all the rest of it, he wants to put your son in jail for 30 years as a kingpin.
Yeah, and, that's usually reserved for mafia bosses and drug cartel. This is because he had a platform where other people, where other people did these things. One of the things I wanted to point out was the kind of language they use in their replies. And one of the things they say is, well, it's okay that this doesn't really fit because federal laws are expansive and adaptable, especially when it comes to the internet. This is in writing, and I find that extremely alarming that they would think that in total opposition to the Constitution.
Oh, yeah, that's the season, is just be as blatant as you can. Just be open about the power grab.
Right. They just say it, and they say the long arm of the law is the law is far longer than you would imagine. This sort of thing. It's very ominous language.
I wish that long arm would do something about itself.
Yeah. Don't count on that, right. The other interesting thing, Congress passed in the 80s the Communications Decency Act, Section 230, which protects website hosts from transferred intent, being responsible for other people's actions and intentions in civil cases. So if Ross were being sued by an individual in civil court for the exact same conduct, he would be immune. But because it's the federal government bringing the charges, criminal charges in federal court, criminal court, he's facing, decades and decades. And our lawyer says this is arbitrary, discriminatory enforcement, but as well opens up a very dangerous anomaly that will be part of setting precedent for other website hosts to be held criminally liable.
Well, it's also a great way to set people up. I mean, you just send 20, 30 confidential federal informants onto the message board you don't like and have them all start talking about killing people or selling drugs or child porn, and then you just go arrest whoever has that forum.
Well, that's really a good point, because they say that intent, all they need to be sufficiently prove intent is what happens on the forum, what happens on the website. It doesn't have to be an actual act that they prove happened.
Listen, I've had the FBI ask me why I let people threaten to kill cops on my website. And I said, well, number one, we have moderators and took it down. Number one, there's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of posts a day. And I said, you know what? Just get out of here. But again, that's how bad they are. I mean, it's really creepy.
Yeah. And they could use this to expand that. I thought that Paul Joseph Watson made some other very interesting points as well. He said it could lead to possible, is a website host responsible for hate speech? Can they be taken, held criminally liable for hate speech on comments?
I want to do 5 more minutes with you, Lynn, if you can, then I'm going right to calls, folks. Another breaking news, and there is a bunch of breaking news. Border agent pulls gun on Boy Scouts detained for taking photos on the northern border, but the southern border is wide open, and they let border agents get shot, and they're not allowed to shoot back. So the Mexican drug cartels shoot, the Border Patrol is told to run, but Boy Scouts are out taking pictures, so they come and point guns at their heads. That's Obama's Homeland Security.
We're on the march. The